Hope you haven't ruled out the possibility of Devin Brown winning Ohio State's QB battle.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Thursday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here on Thursday, July 18th in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. For the second offseason in a row, Ohio State is in the midst of a quarterback competition. Last year, Kyle McCord, Devin Brown, those were the two guys in the mix. This offseason, Will Howard transfers in. Devin Brown still in that battle. Julian Sands in that battle. And those are the three guys that are in the mix, according to Ryan Day, to be QB1 for Ohio State this year. The top two guys to me still in this battle are Will Howard and Devin Brown. And Will Howard transferred to Ohio State to start. But the reality is, Devin Brown can win. There is still a chance for him to do a little bit more and to make more of an impact and make more of an influence and to show everybody he is the guy that should be QB1 at Ohio State this year. And that's one of those things that even here on this show and the Everydayers realize I am a person that believes Will Howard should be QB1 for Ohio State this year, and he will be QB1 at Ohio State this year. But at the same time, I also realize there's a chance that Devin Brown in fall camp and all offseason in the summer, going back into spring practice and winter workouts, that Devin Brown can show everyone, and he has showed everybody, it's possible that he has said, look, I know why you came here. I understand what your plans are. I know that Chip Kelly came in here to work and be a coach with the quarterbacks, and I know he's a newcomer to Columbus, and we're new to him. So it's a lot of things that are new. And with those things being new, it's almost like fresh eyes. I got a chance right now to show a new coach what I can do. A new QB coach, a new OC. I have a chance to show him things that, well, the old Corey Dennis got to see a lot of it, but, well, Corey Dennis is gone. So with Devin Brown having the impact and the ability to influence a new coach, to impact him with things that he's done and doing currently on the practice field, not in the game previously, because the man has not played a lot of football yet in his career. He has a great opportunity to do that. The hiccup comes in. Will Howard's the experienced guy. Will Howard is, to me, still the better quarterback. Will Howard is a guy that he came to Ohio State with a reshaped, I won't say totally revamped, but just reshaped Ohio State offense, and the quarterback's going to run a little bit more. Now, I don't think it'll be third and 5 QB power like it was for JT Barrett a few times. However, I do think you will see Will Howard do some things JT Barrett-esque when he's on the field this fall. That's if he wins the job. And personally, may the best man win. I have no allegiance to anything. Yes, I've given my opinion, but if my opinion is wrong, so be it. And I'm going to have no problem coming on this show preseason and even during the season and saying, Jay was wrong. Here's where he was wrong. Here's why. And here's how the analysis is going to be altered going forward, if it will be. So that's fine. Many of you watch or have listened to Colin Cowherd, not if you're a fan of his or not, you know there's a segment on his show where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong. I'm not the biggest Colin Cowherd fan, but I do appreciate the time period during his shows where he acknowledges, hey, I was wrong. That's not an easy thing to do as a host. When you're on the show daily, 5 days a week, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your fine podcast, you can get this show every Monday through Friday. It's not an easy thing to come on a show and say, well, I was wrong. But reality is, when it comes to this competition, these guys are grinding every day, working around the clock with their nutrition, with their recovery, with their workouts, with their lifts, with their sprints, with their outdoor running sessions, with the mat drills, with the massages and trips to the chiropractor, things of that nature. They're working so hard with one goal in mind. Hey, win the job. And Devin Brown, to me, and I've said it before on the show, he sounds like a starting quarterback. He sounds like a guy that has the overabundance of confidence that you want from your guy who is leading your offense, especially the offense in Columbus during a pivotal year. He sounds like it. The hiccup comes into he hasn't shown that on the field previously for us to say, hey, we got film on Howard, we got film on Brown, and based off the film and the data that we have in front of us, this is how things are going to go. The main reason why I have seen and I believe Howard's going to be the guy, one, I've seen his film. I know what he is as a quarterback. He is a solid quarterback. However, we ain't got that data on anybody else in Ohio State's quarterback room, and the data we got, it's not that much. It's not their fault. Some guys haven't been able to play that much. Some guys are true freshmen. Some guys, well, you're just behind somebody else who's really struggling at times when he's on the football field. I'll leave it there. Devin Brown could win this thing, and that would be great for him, honestly. It'd be great for Devin Brown to finally get that monkey off his back and to finally win the battle if he does it. I personally expect Ryan Day to announce a starting quarterback between or in the midst of weeks number 2 and weeks number 3 of fall camp. That's middle of August. That's probably when he's going to make that announcement. And cool, you get that thing out of the way. And last offseason, I made a statement on the show where I said, I think Ryan Day has internally already named a starting quarterback. He just doing a lot of coach speak and letting this thing go into the regular season, which he does not want to do this year. And I'm very glad he doesn't want to do that this year, because last year on this show, myself, and I don't know if it was Jeff on or Mo Murphy, one of us three came on here and said, yeah, this is stupid. This is dumb. This should not happen. Well, don't do it 2 years in a row. Absolutely not. You don't need to. You've had all off season. You've had different coaches come in. You've had plenty of time to figure out who the best starting quarterback is for your team. Plenty of time. And if you haven't, reevaluate your evaluation process, which I hope has been done previously. ADB, Devin Brown, rocket number 33 as a quarterback. Still very odd to me. Still very odd that you're wearing a number that I normally look at on a running back or a defensive back. Maybe a linebacker in James Laurinaitis, or maybe a tight end, not a quarterback. But hey, if you're the guy, show it. Win it. There's still time in fall camp. You still have time to make those throws. You still have time to figure things out. You still have time to show everybody on the team, hey, we know Sayan's a newcomer. We know he's done a lot of good things. We know he's an accurate thrower of the football. We also see his frame. He's a little bit slender. Oh, okay. If that's a deciding factor, cool. Sorry, Sayan. And then Devin Brown and Will Howard. We know Will Howard has the experience, but we also know DB has a couple intangibles that the other quarterbacks don't have. He might not give us the arm strength. He might not give us this. He might give us the arm strength. He might give us other things. Not saying what he does or does not give Ohio State in this area, but look, Devin Brown can win this job. Devin Brown can be a quarterback that goes out there, shows up, shows out, wins the job, and potentially raises the level of play at quarterback this year. It's also possible that if he wins it, the level of quarterback play could dip. I'll tell you why next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. A free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. If Devin Brown wins Ohio State's QB battle, is named QB1, there are a lot of things that people are going to expect the first time he steps on the field, the second time he steps on the field, third time, fourth game, fifth game, if he even makes it that far down the line as being QB1. There are things people are going to expect and things people should expect. You should expect some high moments, some peaks in his game. You should expect some low moments, some valleys. Why? Because, buddy, everybody in college football is coming for Ohio State. Oregon is, Penn State is, Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, Iowa. If the Buckeyes happen to go and play in the playoff, which I believe they will, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and that Quinn Ewers matchup, a potential Ohio State-Texas matchup with Quinn Ewers starting for the Longhorns, I am here for that. USC, UCLA, no matter who it is, everybody's coming for Ohio State this year. And when you're coming for Ohio State as an opponent and you see a new quarterback, you kind of are getting ready to pounce on the opportunity to embarrass that guy playing that has a title of QB1. And I don't know what to expect if Devin Brown wins the battle, if he's going to be a guy who has all the highlights and no low lights. I would say that's probably not going to happen, but it's one of those unknowns. It's truly one of those things that with Devin Brown is QB1, he may have won the battle. It could be because he's a little bit better than everybody else, but also could say, well, the talent in the room just really isn't as good as we expected it to be. And if that's the case, I don't want to be on this show, and y'all don't want to be on this show with me talking about some deja vu. Been there, done that. We've seen this before. We know this feeling. We did this last year. No, we don't want to do it again. Nobody at all wants to deal with that. So, but you have to expect peaks and valleys and highlights and lowlights when somebody's a first-time starter. Some of you have been around here since I took over the start of this show in 2020. Well, in 2019, Justin Fields was a first-time starting quarterback in college football. Came in from Georgia. And what did you find there when Justin Fields was the guy to play quarterback for Ohio State? That first year, 2019, they obliterated and they beat everybody bad. And I haven't looked at the depth chart and things of that nature to really figure out where things go, how things went like that. All I remember is it didn't matter who they played. They were beating them. They were going to go to your house. You could come to the shoe. And you realize you're going in there, you're probably going to have a 10-plus point loss in that game. Why? Ohio State was just too good. Or just that good. I won't say too good. You can never be too good if you're Ohio State. It was just that good. Offensively, defensively, special teams. Ryan Day had that offense for J.K. Dobbins, 2,000 rushing yards. You got Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson out there on the outside. So many good players. You got guys getting drafted on the O-line and tight end. Remember that Big Ten championship game that year in 2019 where Jeremy Rucker had the one-handed catch in the end zone, right near the end zone that I was actually sitting in for that game. And I'm like, oh, man, this is great. You can't base a lot of things. I don't think a lot of you are. It's just an example. You can't base what you expect from a quarterback based off what Justin Fields did in year one. That's not normal. Now, if you want to go back a little bit further and look at JT Barrett or Braxton Miller or Terrell Pryor or any other quarterbacks, Craig Krenzel, Troy Smith, and the other quarterbacks from a long time ago, if you want to look at them and say, well, can you base Devin Brown's first year off what they did year one? I would still say no. He's a different individual. He's a different quarterback. He is someone in year three, even though he doesn't have much playing time, he still is a guy that is his own man. He knows the offense in his head. At least I hope he does. He should know the offense in his head and based off things in practice. But I think what happened, a part of the thing that happened in the Cotton Bowl, not only was the team not prepared for the game, not only was the offensive line, that may be one of the worst offensive line performances I've seen out of a Ryan Day's coach team. And there hasn't been really a lot of really bad ones, but that one was bad. It's different between doing things in practice and in the game. If you're a practice warrior, if you're a guy in practice that's doing all the good things, doing all the things right, sometimes you see ghosts. You see things out on the football field where you're realizing, oh, this ain't reality. This ain't real. What I have seen is, oh, I think this guy number one's right here to my right, but truly number one is to my left, about 5 yards deeper than I thought he was when he was looking at my right. That's reality. And I remember one time recently, a couple years ago now, I was at Lawrence Central High School, and I was watching the game, my alma mater, and I forget exactly what was going on. The team was not that good that year. Really trying to rebuild. It has to have a new coach in and trying to get his system in and all of those things. Well, there was a player, the quarterback for LC got hurt that day. And you put the backup in. He was either freshman or sophomore, truly young guy. He was green, didn't know what he was doing, and he knew the plays in the playbook from practice. But as Will Glover said, who won the state championship while he was at LC in the 100 meters and played both ways at LC as well, and running back, little slot receiver, and starting corner, he said, "Hey man, sometimes them lights are too bright. Sometimes you get out there and you realize, hey, the lights are shining a little too bright for me, and I'm just not ready for the moment." That could happen to Devin Brown. Talk about these peaks. Talking about these valleys. The highlights, the high moments, those are going to be great for DB. Those are going to be great for DB 33. I don't know if that's going to work or not. I'm going to try to figure things out. If he's QB1, we got to get a nickname for him. I don't know if that's going to be the way to say, oh, all these highlights, just ride this high. I would not say that. But how do you respond during the low moments is very important and crucial to how Devin Brown and the offense flows this year. Because if he's just riding on the highs and the low moments kind of get him discombobulated and he can't figure out how to get over them, go to the sidelines, talk to Ryan Day, talk to Chip Kelly, talk to the other coaches, talk to Brian Hartline, talk to the players that are around you. You're trying to figure out, man, hey, how do I get out of this slump? How do I figure things out? You may even go talk to Will Howard, who is your backup at this point. But you may go talk to Will Howard and say, hey, man, I know you've done this previously. How in the world did you dig yourself out of this ditch? And Will Howard may tell him how he's done it. But can he do it? Will he be able to do it? Those are things that are reality for a guy who might be a first-year starter. I got to keep saying possibly and potentially and might be, because I can't come on here and definitively say Devin Brown's going to win the job. I know I still think that Will Howard might, but this is all a hypothetical conversation right now because I truly don't know what's going to happen. If we had more data and if we saw more football and we didn't just get to see the spring game in a few periods of 5 practices during spring practice, we could get a better handle on exactly what's going to happen with this battle, but we don't have that. We don't have that at all. What we do have is a guy in Devin Brown that can win the job, been at Ohio State for a few years, knows the offense. He is someone that you hope can be coachable. You hope he responds well during the low moments. You hope he does not ride the high of the highlights. But he might do those things. He might not do those things. What also might happen if Devin Brown wins the quarterback battle is guys might leave Columbus to hop in the portal to play college football elsewhere. This episode is brought to you by Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus has the best selection of pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, and more. And the best service in Central Ohio. And guys, check this out. Billiards Plus carries grills that have up to 30-year warranties. Everything you need for in-home and even backyard entertainment is at Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus carries the best pool tables from Brunswick, Austin, Canada, billiards, and more. And the grills, whether you like charcoal or gas or wood-fired, Billiards Plus has a perfect setup for all grillers. They are family-owned and operated, and when you talk to the staff at Billiards Plus, you know you're talking to an expert who won't steer you wrong. No matter the season, Billiards Plus has you covered for all your indoor and outdoor entertainment needs. Kenny, Sarah, and the whole staff will always go above and beyond to give you the best customer service in the industry. Billiards Plus. Visit their showroom on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. If you have not already, subscribe or follow Locked On Buckeyes on YouTube, on Apple, on Spotify, or wherever you get your fine podcasts. You can also catch the ad-free version of Locked On Buckeyes on Amazon Music. There's plenty of good stuff, great stuff coming your way, especially as we lead into Big Ten Media Days, which are next week. If Devin Brown wins a quarterback battle this year, there's a couple things in my mind that might happen. One, well, there's way more than that. My notebook, I got 5 or 6 different bullet points. But the first one, ultimately, well, the depth at Ohio State, this is if Devin Brown is winning the job and plays well, the depth at Ohio State in the QB room is boosted. Because not only do you have Devin Brown winning the job and getting reps as a starting quarterback at Ohio State, you got Will Howard as his backup, a guy who's won a conference championship in the Big 12, a guy who's beat and been tested and weathered storms for Kansas State, a guy who's really a solid college football quarterback. I don't know what he'll do in the NFL. I don't want to go that far. We'll get Ryan Roberts back on here to talk about that thing. However, I do think that your depth is boosted quickly, immediately. Because outside of having Will Howard and the others, you have Devin Brown, Will Howard, and the others. It's very similar to, I was watching a movie recently with my wife. It would happen to be on, I think, a BET or something, and we stumbled upon the Temptations movie. And it was something that I grew up watching a lot when I was a kid. I used to go to my buddy Devin Williams' house with my brother, and Devin Williams had the VHS. Now, I knew about the Temptations a little bit. I knew my dad, my parents, they listened to the Temptations when they were younger growing up. And so I knew about their music, knew about My Girl and Papa Was a Rolling Stone. I knew about some of these songs, but it was kind of cool to see the movie. And in the movie, there's a period where David Ruffin, that man had a big head, very inflated, big old ego. David Ruffin was on there talking about, y'all ain't nothing without me. Now, because he truly thought it was David Ruffin and these are the Temptations. And that was a line to the movie. Don't know if that was a line in real life. That was a line to the movie. Well, not on the same scale as a team, as a music group. However, if Will Howard was a starting quarterback, it would be Will Howard, and everybody else here is inexperienced. Now, the Temptations, those guys where he says, and these are all the Temptations, they were not inexperienced. They were talented artists. He just was someone that had a big old head that wanted to be a part of the group, but lead the group and be the face of it. I don't think Will Howard has that big of an ego, but I do think it's really beneficial for Ohio State. If Devin Brown wins the job, it boosts the depth in the room. But also the reality is, for Devin Brown, you potentially get a multi-year starter. Because I don't believe at all, unless Devin Brown comes out here, those are 5,000 yards, 45-plus passing touchdowns, runs for 5 or 6 more, and he's a guy where you're looking at, you're going to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. You're a Heisman finalist. If that's the case, maybe Devin Brown's a one-hit wonder, but ultimately, I don't see him doing that. I think he's a multi-year starter, and that's cool. That's great for Ohio State because for the first time since Stroud was in Columbus, you would have a guy who was a multi-year starter, back-to-back starter, which is something I think Ryan Day would love to have, because I don't think Ryan Day wants to have every offseason another quarterback battle. That's not fun. That keeps you up at night. That's not enjoyable. Probably causes a massive headache or maybe even a migraine. For Chip Kelly, does he want to do this every single offseason? Probably not. It's a luxury to have a guy that started the year before, that started for you once again. That's a huge luxury. You potentially get a multi-year starter because he is draft eligible. I don't think he should go to the NFL, even if he does have a great first year. I don't think so at all. It's rare for me to be a person that says, hey, you are someone that 1-year starter, you're draft eligible, go to the NFL now. I'm not that kind of guy. I am not. I was even like Dwayne Haskins, 2018, that year. Sad he's no longer with us. I did not think he should have gone to the NFL after that year. I did not. Now, maybe behind the scenes, there are some things going on where he was like, hey, this is the move. But I was a person that 100% wholeheartedly believed that Dwayne Haskins should have stayed in school. Cardale Jones previously, never a full year starter. I thought with Cardale Jones after the 2015 season, I thought, hey, you should not go to the NFL at all. You have no. And that's not saying Cardale Jones was a bad quarterback. I just did not think that he had done enough in college to warrant him to leave Columbus at that time to go to the National Football League. That's just my thought. So I still think that unless Devin Brown, one, he wins the job, and if he doesn't do amazing out of body things on the field, he should stay in school. You get a potential multi-year starter. But also, cats might hit the portal. This is normally something we talk about in December or November as we get closer to the portal opening up, because that's around the time when guys are announcing previously before the portal is open that they plan on hitting the portal, and then they hit the portal and they have a no contact. Well, if you get a no contact and you're in the portal, what does that mean? You already have your mind made up potentially about where you want to go, but also you may have been contacted by schools prior to the portal opening, prior to officially being in the portal, which is tampering. But what do we know about college football, collegiate athletics? Tampering has been going on for decades, and it ain't going nowhere. That's the reality. But guys may hit the portal. That's just the reality. I don't want to see Aaron Nolan leave. He could. Now, with Julian Sand transferring in once Nick Saban retired, off the top of my head, I think he would have to he could transfer and sit out a year. I don't know if he could transfer immediately, transfer and then play immediately in that year. I am not sure. But also Lincoln Keenholz might leave. So next year, if let's say Devin Brown is a starting quarterback, he decides to stay in Columbus for another year in 2025. The reality is you could be looking at a quarterback room at Ohio State that is maybe Aaron Nolan, maybe Julian Sand, Tavian St. Clair, and Keenholz is gone. Or maybe with Will Howard going, there's three other guys left. Let's say two of the three leave. Then you're back trying to get a guy in the portal that boosts the depth and experience in the backups. Oh, man, so many different angles, so many different things to dive into, and it's all surrounding the man that wears number 33 in the roster for Ohio State. He might be number one in your hearts. It's Devin Brown. I still believe, I can't close the show without making this statement, I still 100% believe starting quarterback for Ohio State will be Will Howard. I believe he's done enough previously at Kansas State. I believe his track record speaks for itself. I believe his film speaks for itself. And I believe he came here with one mission in mind, to lead Ohio State's offense this year during a pivotal year for Ryan Day. He knows the goals for the Buckeyes to be the team up north, win the conference, win the Natty. The players around Will Howard are saying natty or bust. He is fully bought into that. And I do believe right now Will Howard is preparing to lead the Buckeyes offense in 2024 and to accomplish every goal the team has set for the season. Now, the weird thing is Devin Brown could change that. It's possible. I don't think it'll happen. Thank you for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen every day. Now, to make your second listen of the day is a Locked on Big Ten podcast. Craig Sheeman took over the show earlier this year, kind of revamped the Locked on Big Ten podcast. Is doing a great job. I don't throw that out there loosely or say that just to say it. No, he's doing a great job with the Locked on Big Ten podcast. And he is getting you set and ready for a new look Big Ten Media Days, which is going to be 3 days next week inside Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. Follow along. After listening to today's show, tap in Locked on Big Ten and figure out what's going on with the conference. Stay up to date with what's going on in the Big Ten Football Conference, preparing you for the annual event, which is kind of the unofficial kickoff for the 2024 Big Ten football season. We're out of here on a Thursday. Follow me on X at JSteven07. We'll see y'all next time.